Hello neighbor, I'm Robert Burns, and it is such a thrill to be back with you once again. I hope everyone's new year has gotten off to a great start. As you saw in our most recent feature, Governor Edwards made a presentation before the Baton Rouge Press Club and took a little bit of a jab at Representative Alan Seaball from Shreveport, a little bit of jab of both of his intellect with regard to being able to crunch numbers with regard to the budget. I will just tell you that I trust Alan Seaball's number crunching ability far more than I do John Bell Edwards's. And I have no doubt that Alan Seaball is more than capable of speaking for himself. In fact, I think he's already done so on some fake Facebook posts regarding either or John Bell Edwards's truthfulness or his own mathematical ability. So I won't go any further on that. But I did want to bring just one small video to you because we're going to talk about a subject that is near and dear to my heart, more so than any other one in state government issues. And anyone who knows me knows that. And what we're talking about is occupational licensing boards and commissions. This has been something that I have been stuck on for a long time as holding back the state of Louisiana. Okay, many of you will know that I had my own immense frustrations with the Auctioneers Licensing Board. I'm not going to go into all that. There was a small segment of John Bell Edwards' presentation to the press club yesterday, and we're going to focus on that. But before we do that, as I said, this is a subject matter that is near and dear to my heart. So in Bobby Jindal's only appearance before the press club during the entire time that he was governor, this is the only time he appeared. It was about January 8th of 2014. It was right before he headed off to a trip to Japan, and you know, everybody knew he'd be running for president, and so he's got to appear presidential. And of course, there's all the pomp and circumstances. He arrives at the last minute, literally may as well have drums, you know, playing as if royalty had walked into the room. And so we're going to break away, and you're going to hear me ask then Governor Jindal about, you know, taking some initiative to eliminate some state boards and commissions. Now, let me apologize to you before we break for the video. I didn't have my tripod that day, and I was trying to juggle some things. There was no room to stand in there. This was back when Jindal, it was at the peaks. There were some people thought he could run for president. Gee, I mean, you look back and think what an absolute joke that was, and many of us could have told that was going to be a joke. But the crowd in there, and that's why you're going to see the camera shake. So I had to fight for floor space. So I apologize for the bouncing you're going to see on the camera. But here's my questioning of him with regard to getting rid of some of these occupational licensing boards, and you'll hear his response. Let's break away. Governor, you've mentioned some pretty macro level job creation that is certainly quite impressive. How would you respond to some fiscal conservatives that would state that other governors, notably Chris Christie of New Jersey and former Indiana Governor Mitch Daniels, may have been done better for small businesses in terms of abolishing boards that intend to inhibit small business, specifically one like the Interior Design Board, that has been proven to be discriminatory against minorities and a job killer, basically. How would you respond to those governors who have been very emphatic that that type regulation was not?
We've eliminated dozens of boards, and we're going to continue to do that. Every year we support legislation to look at duplicative or unnecessary boards. We'll do that again this year. We've done that since I've taken office, and we'll continue to do that. It's been a priority for ours, and we'll continue to look for unnecessary boards. We appreciate your input. If people have suggestions about boards they'd like to see us try to eliminate. Every year we try to eliminate more than we're successful in doing, but we're going to try. Every year we pass a bill to eliminate more boards, and we'll do that again this year.
Thank you, Governor. All right, you just saw then Governor Jindal's response to my question, and he, as usual, you know, can literally twist anything to make him seem like the greatest thing since sliced bread. He started rattling off the number of boards and commissions that they had eliminated. They eliminated this many this year, and they'd be doing so again in this year. Well, what he doesn't bother with telling you on there is that these were defunct boards and commissions that had never had a live person at them in years. They were limited to purpose boards and commissions, but he'll get all the notoriety of, we eliminated all these boards and commissions. That's what a fraud this man was, okay? And it will help explain why he landed in the pit that he did. Because it will also tell you that it's on record he intervened to allow Miss Edmonds to commit this payroll fraud. If you want the audio evidence of it, I can give it to you. I would hope at this point you would know I would not make a statement like that without having it to back it up. So at any rate, so we have Jindal out there, pretending that he's actually doing something with these occupational licensing boards and commissions when he was doing absolutely nothing, okay? So let's fast forward to July 21st, 2014. July 21st, 2014. Now this was right after then candidate Governor John Bel Edwards, at that time Representative John Bel Edwards, got to forgive me, I've gotten a little bit used to calling him governor now. At that time, Representative John Bel Edwards, he had just announced his candidacy for governor. He appeared before the press club. I had previously asked him about the Mike Edmondson situation because nobody else in there had guts enough to do it. The 800-pound elephant in the room. C.B. Fergusson was very thankful of the fact that I made that inquiry and was infuriated that no member of the, quote, mainstream media was willing to do so. But at any rate, a little later, and I'm going to let y'all know something, all right? I had gotten so frustrated with the lack of progress of the Republican Party. I've been a lifelong Republican since I was 18. I made calls for Ronald Reagan before I was even old enough to vote. My senior year in high school, I can't tell you how many hours I spent at a volunteer bookstore on Florida Boulevard making calls for Ronald Reagan, okay, to be elected as the next president of the United States in 1980. I'm very pleased to say he won in resounding fashion against Jimmy Carter. But my point is, I had been a Republican from the second I was able to go register to vote. I'd been a Republican, and I got so disenfranchised. I think, and I can't remember whether it was David Vitter or who said that Bobby Jindal did more to tarnish the Republican brand than any recent politician I know of, and I couldn't agree more with him, and most of you knew I was a staunch David Vitter supporter. But at any rate, you're going to hear me question John Bel Edwards, and I said all that to say this. I got so aggravated with the Republican Party, and the final straw that broke the camel's back with me, as if Jindal and not doing anything on these boards and commissions wasn't bad enough, when the Republican Party in 2011 just openly welcomed James D. Buddy Caldwell in as the ordained candidate for Attorney General. I said, that is it. All right, that is the proverbial straw that broke the camel's back with me. All you've got to do is go back and look at the 5-part series that I did on Buddy Caldwell. You'll know why. And I'm not someone that just does 36,000 feet journalism. I go in and I get down in the trenches deeply. And on that CNSI deal, I can assure you, and all you've got to do is go look back and look at the videos. They were in cahoots, and Louis Oglesby was going to prove it, that they were in cahoots to cause the existing contract holder to retain the contract, and it was at Caldwell's direct behest that the CNSI contract was canceled. In my opinion, cost us tens of millions of dollars. We'll have a little update on that, by the way, in terms of development that transpired not too long ago in federal court in the state of Maryland, and we'll be giving you an update on that in coming days as well. But that was the proverbial, because I said it then and I'll say it now, Buddy Caldwell is the single most corrupt person I have ever met in my life, okay? And I have met an awful lot of folk. I served as a fraud investigator for the federal government. Trust me, I have met some corrupt folk. Buddy Caldwell ranks #1 with me, all right? And I have solid foundation for making that statement. Well, like I said, that was a straw that broke the camel's back. Now, I was still going to be a Republican at heart, but I did for a brief period, about 2 or 2.5 years. I actually joined the Libertarian Party, okay? And so you're going to hear me on July 21st of 2014. At that time, I was a member of the Libertarian Party. And so you're going to hear me ask candidate John Bel Edwards about, can he address disenfranchised Republicans who were so aggravated about the lack of progress within the Republican Party for small businesses in terms of abolishing boards and commissions. I laid that foundation just so you would hear me, when you hear the word libertarian come out of my mouth, don't go into shock. I was a registered libertarian at that particular instant. So let's break away and let's see what then candidate John Bel Edwards had to say about abolishing a few boards and commissions. Here's what he had to say.
Any other questions? Yes, sir.
Following up on this gentleman's question about disenfranchised Republicans, could you say anything to some Republicans who've become so disenfranchised that they've joined the Libertarian Party as a result of a lack of action of abolishing, Louisiana being the #1 state in this regard, repressive boards and commissions, licensing boards and commissions, like the Interior Design Board, like the Cosmetology Board, like the Auctioneers Licensing Board? The Cosmetology Board even recently having been sued for discrimination against Vietnamese, and that's not just an isolated incident. Could you say anything to those Republicans who have become disenfranchised at the lack of progress from the current administration in that regard?
Well, for those Republicans only, I'd like to talk about my libertarian streak.
Yeah, good with me.
No, look, we've got to have boards and commissions that effectively regulate the industries that they're appointed over, but they can't be overly oppressive. And a lot of small businesses really do feel that way in the state of Louisiana today. And we can do better by our small businesses. And I was talking with a gentleman yesterday in Covington, and he was telling me about property ownership and how he really believed that the owner of property ought to have more say about what happens on that property than people who decided not to buy it when it happened to be for sale. And so this is sort of the same kind of thought process here.
Thank you. All right, as you heard, the man kind of hinted that, he didn't get very committal there, and he kind of straddled the fence and, for those libertarians, I'd like to talk about my libertarian streak. But at any rate, you heard him give kind of a non-answer. He drifted off about landowner and rights and things like that. Now, look, I was very specific in my question about occupational licensing boards, okay? And I know I was taken aback at yesterday's press club meeting, because that's the clip we're about to give you right now. You're going to see about a 26-second clip. We're out of the blue. Well, let me just say this. Stephanie Grace has written an article. Now, for those of you who don't know Stephanie Grace, she is about as in the tank for John Bel Edwards as you can get. Okay, and we're going to give you a link for her article, and she says that his presentation yesterday at Press Club was about the upcoming session, but in response to a question by Elizabeth Crisp, and we'll give you the video to include her question, he kind of surprised everybody in saying that I think we need to look at getting rid of some boards and commissions in this state. And I almost had to do a triple thing, so I had to replay that video and make sure I heard the man right. And he went ahead and dropped a little hint that you may not be needing a license to arrange flowers in the future. The floral board, do we really need that? Let's break away and let's hear what John Bel Edwards said about, we need to get rid of some boards and commissions. Let's break away.
Yes, ma'am.
Governor, I know a lot of your attention right now is obviously on the fiscal cliff, but I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit about what your agenda might be for the general session.
We have more boards that license occupations in Louisiana. I think there's 71 occupations that are licensed by boards in Louisiana than any other state in the nation. I think we're the only state that licenses florists. I'm not sure why we do that. I think we ought to take a look at that. That's another thing we can do for small business people.
All right, you just heard the man. Now, Stephanie Grace says what he's doing is appealing to both Democratic and Republican potential supporters, of the Republican being, and I will admit to you, those were appealing words to me, okay? And I think she's right in that regard. But let me tell you something. Bobby Jindal was real good at talking the talk and horrible at walking the walk. Now, Governor Edwards, if you're serious about this, then I have one question for you right now. Why didn't you get behind Julie Emerson's bill to have hair braiders not need a license to do what the schools in cosmetology don't even have programs for this stuff, and they don't even try to tell you that they've done it, that they do, okay? But all I can tell you is it sails through the House committee, it sails through the full House, and it gets logjam over in the Senate committee. Now, it makes it out of Senate committee, heavily watered down, but never made it to a Senate floor vote, and I trust my sources on this. They said, and I trust them explicitly on this, John Alario, in tandem with John Bell Edwards, too many Johns floating around here, John Alario held that bill hostage to get what was required in the John Bell Edwards budget on through the Senate. So this bill fell by the wayside. It wasn't the only bill. Several others were held hostage as well. And I trust my source on that implicitly. So it died, okay? Look, I'm going to give you a link. As you recently saw in a previous, and we'll give you the link for the feature. Only about 30-something days ago, the Cosmetology Board issued the first fine I've seen for hair braiding, all right? I think they were sending a shot across the bow that if you're out there hair braiding with no license, we're gonna get you and we're gonna make a lot of money off of it, all right? Because let me tell you something, that Cosmetology Board has for years been dominated by school owners, okay? And they want you to have a license in order to do that hair braiding. Now we're gonna give you the link for this. This is a program that has just gotten approval. And notice in here what the tuition. This is for hair braiding. This is a program and this is a member of Governor John Bell Edwards' board. This is James Williams. If you looked at the video on the episode we did on them finding the hair braider, you will have seen Reverend Williams, because he's a pastor, you will have seen him buttering up to disgraced Judge Trudy White, all right, in some kind of vague proposal to allow lifers to teach inmates the hair braiding. Now, make no mistake, once they get out though, they better be licensed. But here's my $11,000. I hope I've got that in, to be exact, $11,725. That's the tuition, folks, for the alternative hair design. And I want to read something here. Note, Stevenson Academy of Hair Design does not offer on-campus housing. For estimates on the total cost of alternative, including room and board and travel expenses, please visit the following link, and we'll go ahead and take you to that link. They talk about needing 8 months. 8 months to complete this course. Now, what's also interesting, and we're going to give you the link for the specifics of the course, where you'll see it's 1,000 hours, okay? 1,000 hours, when even the board itself doesn't require but 500 hours to get permitted. So why is this school out here putting out a tuition of $11,725 so that you can be legal and not be popped with a $500 fine at the whim of this board that John Bell Edwards is at least saying? You gonna do more than talk the talk, Governor Edwards? You're gonna walk the walk, okay? Because I'm gonna call you on the carpet. I did it with Jindal, and he was a Republican. So you better damn well know I'm gonna do it with you, okay? And when you were talking that talk, if you plan to walk the walk, that's great. I'll come on here and I'll give you credit for it. But you're not going to get away with just giving some little 27-second blib comment if you don't end up walking the walk, all right? And that's the bottom line. $11,000 to presumably teach these folk how to braid hair. Now, I want to go back to the question about why he would want to go with 1,000 hours as opposed to 500, since the board only requires 500 to be licensed. Look, yesterday, my cell phone blew up with text after they realized I'd gone to the Baton Rouge Press Club. I mean, it blew up with text from hair braiders, all right, from folks that had an interest in Julie Emerson's hair braiding bill, wanting to know if I had asked Governor Edwards a question on the hair braiding. And I said I did not. I did ask him one question. I felt like in being fair, I didn't even raise my hand to raise a second question because it was very crowded. And I believe that if there are people that haven't, I'm not about to raise my hand to ask a second question when I know there are people who have not yet gotten the first question. I am a blogger, and I consider myself a member of the working media, and that's the way I fill out my application form, and I will do so going forward because, you know, I've joked with a couple of individuals, it's only a semi-joke though, that I'm not so sure I shouldn't receive hazard pay for attending these things because the liberal, I don't even have words to describe it. It's an ocean of liberalism at these meetings because that's predominantly what the mainstream media is comprised of that attend these things. I'm sorry, that's just the truth, okay? But I did not pose a question of Governor Edwards about the hair braiding and if the hair bill comes back through again this year, is he going to push for it or not? He's got a number, folks. All you got to do is pick up the phone and call him or email boards and commissions. Julie Emerson will be more than delighted to hear from him because I know she's already been flooded, okay? As Lee McGrath referenced, they turned in a petition to Senator Martini. He was the chairman of the Senate committee when this was being presented with, if I remember right, I'm going to go watch the video, but it was about 340 of Louisiana citizens who signed their name to a petition supporting Julie Emerson's bill. I'm not sure if Governor Edwards hadn't gotten some blowback on this. If Governor Edwards, because I would say this about any governor, if he has come to the realization that these boards and commissions are nothing but problems for any sitting governor, they are nothing but problems. Okay? And you'd be better off without. I'm not talking about problems for the licensees, and it's a protectionist field. Make no mistake, these boards are purely protectionist. Protection of an $11,000 commission. All right? That's why they would fight person being able to engage in hair braiding. It's got nothing to do, let me use some scissors. Oh, you didn't have any concern about scissors for inmates? And yet people that are not incarcerated? You're going to be all concerned. Oh, they cut a little bit of hair when they do that hair braiding. Well, they got to have a cosmetology license. They got a damn thing to do with the concern for your public safety. It's got everything to do with $11,000, and you got a board member charging that much for them to go through the program. I want to thank you for taking the time. Look, for those of you who are a little frustrated that I didn't ask a question on the hair braiding, it's time for you to become an activist yourself. You can't always just rely on me, okay? I did pose a question of Governor Edwards, and I'm just going to let you know right now, it entailed my good buddy, Inspector General Stephen Street. And we're going to have an update on him and what's been going on in some of the civil trials for which Stephen Street has found himself as defendant. I think you're going to find that next segment quite intriguing. And that's the question that I posed of Governor Edwards and will be incorporated into our next feature. Thank you so much. I want to again hope everyone got off to a very happy new year, and we look forward to seeing you on our next installment. Thank you so much.